Welcome to the Shaft podcast, and it's a show that seeks to take you on an immersive journey into the world of African debate. I'm your host, Erasmus Segbefia, and I couldn't be more thrilled for you to be listening in. Today we have our guest, and our guest is a very, very interesting and controversial person, as would come to learn within the debates. Um, I would like for him to introduce himself, but I have just a little bit I'd like to read about him before he begins. So Faithfulness Michael Okom, Kiala, I'm also told is part of his names, graduated from the University of Calabar in 2018. As a student of the University of Calabar, he was an active British parliamentary debater and won 13 trophies across the continent, making him one of the most decorated speakers. He was also called to the Nigerian bar and proceeded to do his national service as a teaching assistant at the Faculty of Law in the University of Lagos. He moved to do an LLM in sports law at the Escuela Universitaria, Real Madrid, where he emerged as the best student overall for the 2021-2022 season. In the middle of his LLM, he interned at Real Madrid club's legal department and currently lives in Valencia, where he works with one of the foremost firms within the country. He's also a writer, and he has written on a number of issues, including debates. Some of those articles we'll get to discuss, but then also some of his articles have been featured on Football Legal, which is one of the most reputable sports law journals in Europe. And you can also check out his LinkedIn newsletter called Sports Law Hive, which I must say is very, very good. Welcome, Faithfulness.
Thank you very much. Erasmus. I was very delighted to, incredibly delighted to be here and to be. I mean, I think that the African debates ecosystem has been craving for this, and you know that I'm very particular about conversation and debates, and that was my
Yes.
mindset with writing all those articles about debaters, the best debates, who the greatest debaters were in every circuit. I took a lot of flack and vitriol for doing that, but I think right now, on hindsight, people realize how important that was. Those are how important those articles were, and I think
Yeah.
like an initiative like this is even more vital. I think personally, also I lived maybe the best period of my life.
Yeah.
Those years of debating, traveling, making friends, and the friends I made in debate are still till today my best friends.
Yeah.
Some people have become brothers. So I think like this is really amazing. So when you told me about this, I mean, like it was something I didn't have to think twice
I,
about. So like,
I mean, it's surreal, right? We definitely had that discussion a couple of months ago where we were talking about the importance of having
yeah,
these kind of conversations. Then we began to see some of
yeah,
these things around. Yeah, but when you speak about writing some of your articles from years ago, and when you think about now, it may look like something normal to be able to write about debate and stories
that,
like that. But think about 3 years, 4 years ago, thinking about those things is really revolutionary.
yeah. It was really ironical to me that there was some kind of pushback um, when I was writing all those articles. Like I found it quite contradictory because I think we all wanted to be great. We all
Yeah.
wanted to be written about. Like I don't know what greatness looked like to many people, but I always said in the articles that the problem with debating is that like with hip hop, with
Yeah.
football, like you have people outside of the space who can write and comment and earn a living from giving commentary about what goes on in that space. In debates, unfortunately, we do not have people who are coming to view us to see,
Yeah.
oh, who are the best speakers now, who is doing wonders now, who is the
Yes.
hottest and new kid on the block. So we had to take that responsibility for
Yes.
ourselves. And when somebody did that, for me, I expected. I mean, of course, like there was always going to be some kind of braggadocio from me. Like I,
As
I
expected.
felt, yeah, I felt bad that I had to be the one writing it. I would have loved to see the perspective of someone else. And I know that when I wrote articles like about debates and everything, there was going to be some controversy here and
Yeah.
there, and also the conversations, the articles are going to travel very wide. I think I've
Very,
written
very
some of
quickly.
the most viewed or read articles in the debating circuit. The one I wrote about the best African debaters of the
Exactly.
had I think on Medium it has like 8,000 or 9,000 views. Like
That's
so,
incredible. I'm not sure
yeah,
there are 8,000 debaters in Africa, to be very
exactly.
honest.
So I knew that it was going to go fast. So I mean, that was the only time I had personally to also say something about myself. and
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, okay, I'm not on this list. But if I were to include myself, I think I'm top five or top three, and people will be like, "Oh no," and those kind of things. But I think finally we are getting to a point where we understand the value that these kind of conversations hold, and I think debating is getting more ingrained into
Yeah.
daily lives and daily intellectual routine. I think it's something that has to be more commonalized. Like
Yeah.
I think we liked also that I don't know that enigma about being
Yeah.
debaters. I think the more we sell debates to the common public, the better it is for us. And I think this is a very incredible initiative to take us towards that goal.
Yeah, I'm happy about that, and I really just hope we would get to see that dream. Now, before we move on, and before someone asks who the hell is this who just wants to talk about debate all of the time and wants to talk about debate like he owns it, I would like for you to place yourself within the history of African debate. Tell us who you are and why you have the right to be saying the kind of things which you are saying now.
I mean, um, you read the bio and it said one of the most decorated speakers. I used to it used to be the most decorated speaker. I had to edit that because of you. I mean, even if I was sending that bio, yeah, even if I was sending that bio like to non-debating spaces, that was the bio I used because I do it. You see, I do a lot of
Yes.
webinars and all that stuff. That was the bio I used, and for a long time it was easily like, oh, the best. But I mean, of course, I knew about your accomplishments and everything. So yeah, I had to give that respect. Well, I think like in a sense, the way I describe myself in debates was just that I don't want to speak about like where I place myself, but I want to speak about how I saw debates. And I saw debate as a game. I saw debate as a platform for greatness, and I
Mm,
wanted to be great. I mean, I wanted to be a footballer. When I was younger.
mm,
My dad was never going to let that happen. Lawyer, professor, his first son was always going to be, a lawyer too. So my dad was never going to rationalize that scenario. Debating was the first place I felt like I could dominate. I could
yeah.
do something like, and it was sad that many people didn't perceive it this way. Many people saw it as, a fun activity, which is fine.
Mm,
Many people just saw it as an avenue to come and, see their crushes, see, have, how the debating space is. Like, I literally try to help certain people to be great, try to train them, and I
yeah.
realized that all they cared about was just those 3 days where they spend some time with the person their love interest or someone who they
Yeah.
had a crush on and stuff like that. So people perceive debate differently, but I always
Yeah.
saw debate as an activity that I wanted to be great at. I also understood that for you to be great, and I wrote an article, Seven Secrets of West Africa's Greatest Debaters.
Yeah.
And I realized that for you to be great at something or see something as a learning avenue, you have to dedicate yourself to it. You have
Yeah.
to know it. You have to be a real student of the game. Like
Yeah.
you cannot be a football fan. First of all, I mean, of course, for you to be great, you have to love the game. And
Yes.
I had guys in Nigeria who were debating for 3 years, 2 years, long before me, who didn't know who Ashish Kumar was, who didn't know who Michael DJ was, who didn't know
Mm,
anybody. And I'm like it. Look, you cannot be a football fan and you don't know who Messi is.
yeah.
Like you don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And I wanted to be like those guys in
Yeah.
some way. And so I felt like I was really angry when people did not know them because
Yeah.
those were the guys who I aspired to. So for me, being a pretty like good debater and accomplished debater, I mean, I found it easy
Yes.
because many people didn't really, I don't know, care about greatness. Some people were
Yeah.
scared to be great, but I mean, I was young too. I came into the
Yeah.
space at
I'm actually very interested in talking about how young you were because
yeah,
um I was hearing stories of you being in high school, you being 17 years old
yeah.
when
I mean,
you began,
yeah.
and how was it being so young and being in such a space and knowing that the level of competitiveness that debates brought, and like looking in hindsight now, how were you able to carry on through some of these things?
To be very honest, when I look back, like at the period, I feel that you know, I feel some kind of weirdness about the entire experience
That's the right word.
yeah, because I Of course, I was controversial. There was, but when you say controversial, I feel lots of things were blown out of proportion. I was just arrogant. I just thought that the game could be played differently. Like I thought
Yes.
you could trash talk in good faith.
Yeah.
I remember in 2015 before the PUDC and before PUDC in Legon, we did some trash talk. We called out SADC. Like,
Oh my God.
I mean,
Yes, I remember.
I liked that kind of, but I mean, some of it was immature, but I was 17, like
Yeah.
when I think about myself, like at 17, when I think about myself now, I think about myself at 17, I'm like, and there are all these, most people were in their 20s, early 20s, so like
Yes.
some people, so like people just saw me as a brat sometimes,
Yeah.
and but I was really worried that we kind of were we were very insistent on not having those kinds of call outs, like
Yeah.
those that kind of boldness. I thought it was fun and some people liked it, but some
Yeah.
people had serious inferiority complex. And
Yeah.
when we did the call out, like me and Kennedy and I in 2015 called out to people on the South African Debaters Forum or page on Facebook. The chief adjudicator, I'm not going to mention his name, one of the chief adjudicators commented on the post where Kennedy made a joke about calling out SCDC playfully, commented and said something like, "We'll see at the tournament." In the Octos, guess who was our judge? That guy.
Oh no.
And
I'm so glad we are already beginning to enter into
yeah,
some
yeah,
of these
I don't
stories.
want to wait.
And
I don't want to wait for any like
yeah,
the night
for me
things
and
that
for
we
me, like
do.
I mean, we think about sports like NBA football,
Mm-hmm,
where some of
mm-hmm.
these ex-players sit around the table and now have these discussions and are able to give
Yeah,
some insights. These are some of the stories you want to hear because, like,
yeah, yeah.
we think about debate today, and people think, "Oh, it's too much." Like debates used to be nice, and now it's so toxic. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you didn't.
You have
you,
no idea.
you have no
You
idea,
have no
but
idea. You
but
have no.
obviously at the height of your powers, because I'll really want us to delve into that. There was a period where you were truly unstoppable. I remember in 2017 you were in Ghana, and TTC, the famous TTC, which apparently is like the last good
Yeah.
tournament we ever had. TTC, where you were on a roll, winning 2 out of 3 trophies, and this
Let me
was the
tell you a
gathering.
story. Let me tell you an interesting story.
Yeah, tell me.
In 2016, I had made a list or something, and I
Yeah,
said, and I said, um, I did a list, and someone asked me, Shafiq. Now I mean, we have always been good friends, and he sees things the same way. That I respect him because he likes the banter, he likes the back and forth, and he said, like I said, he said, where do you rank yourself in that list? I said
yes,
top three. I said top three for sure. And
yes.
he said something I can never forget. He said, "You have an overbloated sense of self worth." This was in 2017. The Facebook comments will be somewhere. He said, "You have an overbloated sense of self worth." Many people liked that post, laughed at that post. Like I mean, these laughing emojis, like 10
Yeah,
laughing emojis that you're so annoyed. And I said, I didn't respond to that post.
yeah,
Then TTC came, and I knew that that was the perfect opportunity for me to make a statement.
yeah,
And, we went the first tournament, we broke first. I think we lost only 2 rounds or thereabouts. The finals was 7-0 split. Amazing.
yeah,
I think that was one of my favorite speeches. The second tournament was in Kumasi. The same thing.
yeah,
We broke first again. I was best speaker. We made the final, also 7-0 split. The third tournament, we broke first, if I remember.
yeah,
Yeah, we broke first.
yeah,
I was second best speaker. Karim beat me to best speaker by 1 speaker point. I will not
yeah.
forget that. When we broke first, I was second best speaker. We made the final. We lost on the splits. I genuinely still think that we
You
lost
won
that
that final.
final because I had won the previous two. Because I think BNI, I'm not saying because of me, but I think BNI was incredible. Like I think
Yes,
that's one of the best speeches I've heard in an African debates competition, and I will go to my grave believing that We deserve to win. For me, I don't think that particular round. I don't think it was on the back of my own brilliance, but it was the back of his. But after that tournament, and fair play to Shafiq, he went back to that post, and I think he commented and he said, "Yeah, bro, I see what I see what you're
Nah,
about now." So
yeah,
like this was incredible. That was one of the good exchanges I had. Shafiq likes the NBA. He understands how sports is. That he
yes,
starts talking and all that stuff. And I didn't have any hard feelings when he said it to me. I felt bad at first, but I just put in the work. I made sure that I worked harder than everyone else. I went to
yeah.
those tournaments, and I think I made like a very solid statement there, and I
That,
was
that's
very happy about it.
that's brilliant. Like there are lots of things which is like opening up in my mind, uh, and I just hope we're able to cover all up. I'm so sorry, might have to do like a part two of this even already.
I don't care. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to talk about two things even before we move to other things. There are lots of people, and like I want us to have the conversation, right? There are lots of people, and I think you've achieved incredible. It's not just about the 13 trophies; it's when you won them, which
Mm,
I think is the conversation people don't have a lot of time. It was at the peak of the powers of a lot of the giants like
yeah.
BNI, like Ajim, who
Yeah.
was even your coach.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are lots of people who continue to question your legacy because
Mm,
of uh, performances in opens, which to me they are still fantastic. Like in not in opens, in do I say
the
national competitions,
nationals.
like
Yes.
nationals, like PAUDC, and
Yes.
just not having something over
Yes.
there, use
Yes.
it to
Yes.
question your legacy. How does that make you
Oof,
feel?
bro. Like um, it's fair. It's fair criticism. Like they're not at the end of the day, you have to win, right? But the reality is that when you're the kind of person that, like I am, and you divide opinion, like the way I was, I think institutional tournaments are the places that give people the perfect opportunity to kind of fuck you up. And so, first of all, let me tell you the stories of the three nationals. We competed at three. Kennedy and I competed at three ANUDCs. The
Yes.
first one was my first tournament. I
Mm.
was 17, he was 17, two 17-year-olds. We broke first, 25, 23 out of 27 points. He was best speaker, I was third best, fourth best speaker or something. And and then the next year, so then we made the final. The
Yes.
final was a 2-2 split. And Jamie had two votes and gave the win. So it
When you
was
say
four
Jamie,
judges.
you mean
Yeah,
Jamie
Jamie
Mighty,
Mighty.
right?
Like, first of all, it didn't make sense to me that there were four judges,
Yes.
right? They wanted the foreign judges because of how polarized the circuit was,
Mm.
and they wanted the four foreigners. So two South Africans had us first, two Ghanaians had us first. I'm not going to question the integrity of Jamie at all, but he came to the university and the organizers made the biggest banner. I haven't seen a banner of Buhari, the former Nigerian president, as big as that. They made him the biggest banner. They booked his flight three times because I think because of visa problems. So they had to book two or three flights for him. He came to the tournament very late. I think anyone faced in that circumstance will. And I was talking shit about Jamie on WhatsApp and everything, and I
Yeah.
was talking him out, and he reached out to me and said to me, I looked at this chat recently because I was talking with someone, and I remembered, and I went to the DMs and I saw this
Yeah.
conversation, and he said to me, "Leader, I hear you're speaking bad about me or something. What's the problem?" And I said, like, I was just like uncertain about that final, and he said something to me. He said, "All I'll say to you is that adjudicating in your circuit is very difficult." And he
Yeah.
ended it there. And for me, he said a lot without saying a lot. I mean, the
Yeah.
host university won. It was a 2-2 split. Fair play to Bokiri, David Bokiri. I mean, he broke I think fifth. I didn't see him in the top room all through the tournament. In the final, like it was. I mean, it happens a lot of time in debates,
Yeah.
but yeah, they won. And I mean, I was really livid, but I mean, it was fine. The next year, we went to Covenant University. Another very funny story. We broke second, and bro, I promise you that first of all, we should have broken first. The last round was going to decide who broke first because I think we're all on the same points.
Yeah.
And the team that broke first, they're my friends. They'll probably listen to this podcast. I promise you, and I'll say to their faces again, should have come fourth in that round. The round was adjudicated by two lecturers who had no BP experience. Like, bro,
Hmm.
just trust me.
That's crazy.
Just believe me. I mean, I know that with nationals it's very difficult, to have. I told Eric. Eric was CA. Eric Asamoah.
Yes.
Really respect him. I said, bro, like this is a mess. You're giving us two judges who are judging. This is their first time adjudicating, and he said, I understand your grouse. But the problem is that we have to prioritize the bubble rooms. We need the good judges there. I mean, the
Yeah.
stakes are high here for first breaking team, but they're not as high as the bubble rooms.
Yeah.
So it was a complete mess. And bro, I promise you, if I know anything about debating, like the team that finished first in that round nine, Covenant University 2016, should have come fourth. Eventually, and people in the room will probably say it apart from them, because after the
Mm.
round, bro, they fucked up, and we went to them and I said, bro, like you're my guys, but you were shit, and they agreed. At that point, they were humble and they said, yeah, like it was a tough round, but we go to I don't know what happened, but we go to the round and we had the break, and I was like, I told Ken, what? But sometimes you seem crazy, you seem like
Yes.
a sore loser, so I let it go. We went to the finals. It was a tough road getting to the finals, but we got there. We lost on a 4-3 split, five on a 5-4 split, and some people were there was a big argument on the panel because some judges thought that there was some like tribal sentiment
Yeah.
and there was some
Oh my God.
institutional sentiment. And now wait, one of the judges who voted for us was Kola. You know him. He was
Yeah.
very loud. He was passionate. He thought we really won, and he was really angry and really passionate. I don't know if it was Kola or someone else, but someone else. I don't know. I can't remember clearly. But someone was really, really passionate about us,
Yeah.
and to the point that they got so angry. And because they were angry, some initially in the first vote we were winning, but because of how the judge had presented his case
Yeah.
for us, some judges got angry that he was disrespectful and flipped. I'm not lying to you. Everything I'm telling you, you can verify. So we lost because the judges who were advocating for us were disrespectful and too angry because they thought that we had won by a wide margin and they sent some foul play.
Yes.
That's how we lost. But again, like I really hate that in all of this I'm going to sound so sad, and but
Yeah. And
we went
salty.
to we went to the third one, and this is crazy because in the third nationals we had 25 points out of 27. That's the
Yeah, I heard that
record.
was the record. Yes.
Yes. We lost one round we won 8 preliminary rounds. In one round we came third, and the third was questionable. I don't want to speak about that because I think that's too controversial. We got to the final, and then we're in opening opposition. Closing government was a team from my institution. Again,
Yeah.
I will tell them they're my friends. One of them was my student. Like he was my invention at
Yeah.
Botizo, Daniel. He was literally my
Yeah.
my,
I
my,
remember. I
my
remember the
I
Apotizo
literally
period.
so I was incredibly happy for him. I think that people did not want Kennedy and I to win. I am very convinced about that. And I think that the best thing they could do was give it to someone from my institution. So they'll say, yeah, we got you. Say something now. And it worked. It worked because I couldn't say anything. But Victor and Daniel are my guys. I love them to death. Victor is like my brother,
Yeah.
his family, and I feel I'm convinced that they didn't win. They didn't win that
I
round.
mean, those are three incredible stories.
So yeah, yeah,
Obviously, we'll speak about PUDC, which is a very difficult conversation to have because, like,
yeah,
I was in the mix. I was
yeah,
also in the
yeah,
mix.
yeah.
But definitely, but I want us to shift and also talk about something else. I think
Mm,
there's an experience
mm,
which most people don't speak about, which we now take for granted, which is speaking outside the shores of Africa, and how incredibly difficult it is. Now, with the advent of online debate, and I know you've not participated a lot in that, we've seen a lot of debaters go out there and do quite well, do seemingly well, but it's still been very, very difficult for us to be able to break on the international scene. But you were one of the very few people to have experienced international tournaments uh, by going to America, going to other places, debating with people of a different class. Um, could you share what your experience was within that period and how it should reflect on today in terms of us going out there to speak at international tournaments?
Honestly, like I'm proud of what the guys are doing now. Like, but I always like I feel like I wish in some way that like I'm not quite enthused about myself. Like I try to imagine what my in my prime I'll be
Yeah,
like in this. But I think more about Abu Rasta, Prince Asamoah. I think more about Kareem. I think about BNI, David Ajim. I think these guys would have broken at worlds. Like if they
easy.
apply, if bro, I'm convinced about that.
Bro,
So
just to chip in a little bit of fact there, I don't think Africa has an open break at Worlds yet. I know there's been like, but when I like, I don't mean to be divisive, but I don't think, especially, let me just say, for West Africa to be very very safe, there's been no open break yet, and these are some of the guys whom you are saying would definitely have an open break.
I have no doubts. I have no doubts whatsoever that if because I think like we have spoken about sometimes I think like it's you need to be known. You don't show up like you need to put people need to know that you have put in the work. You don't show up from Africa from an African institution and go to Worlds after working hard all year and just break. Like you need to go
Yeah,
to other tournaments, and I think that was the problem sometimes. Like people have not gone to other have not participated enough in other tournaments and
yeah,
this kind of stuff. I think these guys because when I went first, like I went to HWSIV, and bro, it
in the
was
USA, right?
in the US, it was. I met my so first of all, my impression was I was going to speak with Kennedy, my debate partner for a long time, and then 2 weeks to the tournament, I hear that he got on he got a role on the CAP as an assistant CA or something like this, as a shadow CAP member, and I was just like left out there in the dark. I
Yeah,
eventually got a partner, Ghazal Farouk, if that's her name. She was half Canadian, half Iraqi. I met her for the first time on the first day of the tournament. No, I met her, and it was a tournament where we had one round on arrival. So I literally
yeah.
met her, and 30 minutes later, we're supposed to speak together. I went to the debate room. I was First of all, I'm speaking with a partner who doesn't know me. You know, most times your partner, your confidence comes from your partner, especially
Yes.
when I was the only black guy in the room. Like I was
Uh,
18, 17, 18, I think, the only black guy in the room. I
that's
did
a
not
lot.
have my partner's confidence in the first place. I felt like I needed to prove something to her,
Yeah.
which is not common because you go to tournaments, go with someone who you don't have to prove
Yes.
anything to, and they have seen you at your best too.
Yes.
So I was so anxious. The first round was the worst. I think I gave the worst speech I've given in my. I got this. I got a 73 in that round. Like I think that's one of the lowest scores, and I deserved it. I was absolutely nervous. It never struck. I was shit. Round two was a bit better. I think I gave an 80 or 81. I think I was comfortable with the motion and everything, and I just went and I slowly we improved our levels, but it was difficult because
Yeah.
I didn't know her. Like I didn't know what I was being thrown into, but I really after we didn't break, of course, and I just enjoyed the tournament.
Yeah.
I still think about the finals. It was about this house regrets the rights of the new left.
Mm.
Amazing speeches by Danny the boy,
Yeah.
and his partner who was I think Indian, bro, incredible. They won from opening government, and that was one of the best debates I've witnessed live. So I enjoyed the experience. I
Yeah.
immersed myself in it. 2 weeks later, no, few days later, we traveled to Harvard
Mm.
to compete at the Harvard Invitational. As soon as we got there, like it was American parliamentary debating style,
That's the
five
place.
rounds. I was really, and it was one of it was two on two. So I
Yeah.
was incredibly scared that we could go with no points. But I spoke with Kennedy there, and I was more confident. There were 162 teams or something like this.
Yes.
The first round, so we go for the tournament, and we're sitting down in the general hall, and they are addressing all the participants, maybe 300 participants or
Yeah.
thereabout. And there is a girl who is like the president of the American parliamentary style system, something like this. and she's addressing. She's a student from, I think, North Carolina or something like this, and she's addressing, and everyone. She's popular, of course. Everyone knows her, and then she finishes her speech, and then we go for round one. And as soon as we get into the room, she's the one we are going up against, and her partner. And I'm like, fuck, like, how am I supposed to do this? And it was crazy. But Kennedy, I respect him. That round made me respect him so much because after he spoke, I was like, we could win this. Like, because he was incredibly calm. He was so certain. He was confident, and we whooped their asses. But the judge found it
Mm.
difficult. There was only one judge, and the guy was from Harvard. And I've never seen a judge struggle to give a call like that. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't make eye contact with them. He was scratching his head, and it was like, yeah, I think. And he even said, like, he pointed at us, but he said they won. He was like, he pointed, we were above. He said, I think up one, and they were like, yeah, whoa, what are you saying? And he said, yeah, you guys won. Like he pointed at us again, and we saw that he struggled to give us that decision. But I respect him also for being honest. So we won the first round. The second round, bro, guess who? Yale. Like two wonder
No.
kids from Yale. But that's the best debates I've had in my life. It was about pharmaceutical companies and price gouging, something like this.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like we were incredible. The judge, as soon as we finished the round, of course, we wanted to stand up and go out to wait for the judge to deliberate. As
Yeah.
soon as we stood up, the judge said, "No, no, no, sit down. I have my results. You won." And that was like,
Oh,
Kennedy and I were over the moon. We're like, bro, this
that's
is we did
incredible.
it. Like, then we had the third round that same day, and bro, like the problem is that we were too happy. We have won
You
two
weren't
rounds.
grounded. You weren't
I think
grounded.
that I think that we could have won that third round because it was on a topic and emotion I had. Not only it was the 2017 EUDC final, something like this, 2016 or 17. It was about soldiers, something about soldiers. I can't really
Oh
remember,
yeah,
but
I'm also
literally,
trying to remember.
yeah, I literally had notes on that with best arguments. I had also debated that motion before,
Hmm.
so I was so prepared for it. But like when I went there, we I think we struggled. We were just so excited, and we did well. We did solidly, but we lost very marginally. I think by one
Yeah.
point because they gave the speakers scores. I think we could have won. Like if the
Yeah.
judge just
It's
smiled on us.
it's one of those debates, and I think it's one of the
Yeah,
things we're going to come to because the
yeah.
margins at international competitions are super slim. And
And bro, familiarity helps. Like
yes, familiarity helps.
when it's in the gray area, you give the win most times to who you know. And
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
you can really blame judges. Sometimes it's about trust, but I think that's what happened in that round. I don't want to say we won, but I think we could have easily won. But
Yeah,
I just told myself like, yeah, just blame it on the excitement. And we were
yeah.
excited. We had won two rounds. We did more than we anticipated. The next day for round four, Kennedy went for the round a bit earlier. I was a bit lax and everything. I missed my way, and I arrived
Oh,
when the debate had started. And
there's no way.
again,
There's no
that
way.
was a round that we could have won, and I hate myself for that. We lost, we lost, but that round we could have. I think we could have won it
No
because
way.
Kennedy was amazing, but I just wasn't up to. I mean, I had more better speaker scores in that round, but I don't know how. But Kennedy should have had Kennedy was amazing in that round. Like if I just
Yeah.
met him at his wavelength, we could have won comfortably. But then we lost two, we won two, and I said, bro, we have to win round five because like 3/5, 3 out of 5 wins is very respectable. And
Yeah.
we won the last round. It was very competitive. Like I was scared we are not going to win because like we got into the room and one of the speakers was literally from the same city as the judge, and they were chatting. They were having a chat, and I was like, my God, these guys are good people, Australians. They're both from Sydney. Like we have losses, but he was honest, and we won the round. We went outside. I think we missed the break by speaker points
Oh,
because
that's sad.
yeah, we missed the break by speaker point. But I think we're 23rd overall out of 162 teams, which was very respectable.
Yeah.
We met Panele after the round, and he knew
He
exactly
knew
how
you.
many wins we had had. He told us, yeah, 3 out of 5 wins, amazing. I was like, he knows. Oh my God, like, so I mean, we felt really fulfilled. And I mean, if we stayed in that environment, we did 2, 3 more tournaments. People knew us.
Exactly.
You can't tell me like we couldn't have,
Yeah,
like
that's why I'm one of the bigger proponents of us doing more debates. Like a lot of
yeah,
debates
yeah.
are shifting back in person, And I understand the online is challenging. Like, if it's challenging for you, I would understand because you've already done a lot, right? But
Yeah.
for a newbie who is coming, you have no
Yeah, you
right.
have
You
like
have zero
you have to
right
find a
because
way to
yeah, this
yeah.
this is the environment we find ourselves in. On another day, we would have been sitting together. I know you are in Spain right now.
Yeah,
We would
yeah,
have been sitting together doing this, but here we are. We just have to like meet on Zoom, and
yeah.
this is also creating a new opportunity for us to have ideas like this and push it forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is another discussion I want us to delve into, and I think you're one of the very best people to be able to have this discussion with. There is a notion, and I think myself, I'm at fault also for this. Like, for example, when I say there have been no African Breaks Awards before,
Mm.
there is a notion that the international scene has been dominated by people from the West for so long, and that Africa has not really had a presence. But I know and remember stories of people like Yashodan making
Mm.
great feats at Worlds. I know you have a lot of some of these stories highlighting how some of the great African speakers, most of them from South Africa anyway, made huge inroads at the world scene. I just want
Yeah.
us, I just want you to remind us of one or two occasions of these
I
things and
mean,
why the
like
world needs to
I
remember them.
think for me, like the greatest African speaker, I mean, like the greatest African speaker has to be like David Harris, David Dean Harris. Like,
I'm not sure a
oh,
lot of people know him.
he was incredible. Like, he's a guy that you cannot really emulate. Like, he was just so natural. I mean, like, just so natural. I think he was a natural. He was just amazing, and he won the global health debates that had Gemma Buckley and some previous world champions, and him and Yash. I think that was one of the most incredible feats that Africa had ever recorded. Yash and Dan as a team, I think, was a great team, but bro, like
They broke
at
seventh at Worlds, right?
they broke seventh. They broke seventh at Worlds. That was incredible. But I think they crashed out in the
In the next round.
out rounds. Like out rounds, you need to try many times for you to like. Sometimes luck just favors you, and
Yeah,
luck favors. Sometimes they say fortune favors the brave, but fortune favors those who show up many times. Like
yeah,
you can Manchester City Champions League, the many sad stories, but they just
yes,
kept on coming back, and eventually, like you have no like fate and fortune has no chance than to just locate you
yeah.
because they have always been there. Like so, I knew that this year they were going to be. So it just happens like that. But
Mm,
Yash didn't show up enough. I don't think he loved. I don't want to like speak for him, but I don't know. I doubt that he loved the sport so much. I think he
yeah,
had other priorities in his life. But Yash could have been a speaker that could have very, very easily been amongst the top 10 in the world if he applied himself very, very consistently to debating. But David Harris, I think this is a guy that, like, I mean, I think he could have been the best speaker in the world, like if he wanted. But I mean, I know many people spoke against him and like beat him. But this guy was, for me, I've listened to many speakers. I'm still out of the game. But when I think of African speakers, David Harris like is the one that really really stands out to me. And it's the one that I know did a lot. I think he broke at Worlds like
yeah,
twice. Yeah, he
yeah.
broke twice at Worlds in the open category.
Category,
But in
yeah,
the outcomes, I think he also had like because sometimes he spoke with a guy called James Wink. James Wink and David Harris, I think they spoke once or twice at Worlds. I don't know about the dynamics of that team.
mm,
I think the Cape Town teams, I think Yash and Dan was perfect because they complemented each other. I think
yeah,
sometimes David Harris maybe I might be completely ignorant about this, but my own prognosis is that he seemed like he did not like. Yeah, I think the partnership sometimes didn't really favor him. Like sometimes
yeah,
I feel like he needed more because he was so calm, but he got the point home. I think he needed someone that added some more
yeah.
like yeah,
Firepower.
some more firepower to what he had. So there are
I'm
these guys. I think of guys too, like I mean, Elisha Kunene didn't do a lot in the world stage, but I question it. Like
he-
I think Elisha could have done massively at Worlds if he went consistently. This guy was like I watched like the Cape Town Open. I mean, like Fanele and I think like went to the Cape Town Open once or
yeah,
and he was giving out 86, 87. to these guys. Like,
Yes.
and he said, "Look, this is," but like he was certain that those speeches, Oliver Dixon gave an 86 speech in one of the ones finally judged. Like Elisha, like all these guys, crazy speakers. They had MDG coming there. I looked at the tab because when MDG came to judge, I think MDG came to judge one of the Cape Town Opens, and I looked at the tab and I said, "Let me see like what MDG is giving out in these rounds." And I watched a round that Elisha and Yash spoke in, and MDG was was the chair of that round. I literally heard his voice over, and I saw the speakers scores, and I'm like, so it mean I know that, bro, it's relative to the
Yeah.
tournament and everything, but he gave out the speaker scores for a reason. Like these
Yeah.
speakers were really, really quality speakers.
Yeah.
So like lots of guys, Sholofelo, could he have broken at Worlds if he applied himself like consistently? Like, come on.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you're talking about these stories, because it's very important if we want to
Yeah.
get there to know that some people got there, or some people had the
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah.
Like,
No, no,
I,
people got there, bro. Like
yeah,
people got there.
because
Like
like I
lots of
think
the guys. Yeah.
the talent stock within Africa.
Jamie broke at I've forgotten which tournament that was, but it was in the US. Him and Noni broke at Colgate Open, I think.
Yeah,
Colgate Open, yeah, they broke.
which
I
is
mean, they
incredible
faced
at that
MDG in
period.
one of the rounds. Yeah, they faced MDG in one of the rounds. I mean, of course, he whooped the asses, but yeah, it was a great experience for them. They broke there. They made, I think, quarterfinals or something. So we had like, and this was a time where nobody knew who Jamie was on the global
Yes,
stage. Like, and it was, people don't understand also how difficult it is, because I judged at Worlds. I didn't realize some things that were. I mean, I judged a few times in some panels where I thought that I was like the rest of the panelists who didn't know any of the speakers, and I saw some people being convinced about certain calls. It's not bias, but it's just familiarity.
yes,
Eventually, I see that they are friends with the speakers that they made, like
yeah.
that won the round in the room. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, like the
Oh, that
call
makes
was
sense.
reasonable. The call was reasonable, but it could have 100% gone the other way. And I
Yes,
think it went this way because you are familiar with that face and you know that
yes,
person. Nobody can deny that. No
yes.
judge can deny that
I think
that
it's
plays a
not
role.
bias.
Yes.
It's a question of credibility, because when
And
you
you
think
cannot
about
blame,
judges,
yes,
yes,
I cannot blame you. Like I cannot blame, like I cannot blame a judge who thinks that, like, if it's in a gray area, especially, and most debates are in a gray area. Come
y-
on, like the calls are not so crystal clear.
yeah,
Most we were in a panel where you had the team that had first fought, and I
yes,
had the team that you had first fought, like at Worlds. So like
exactly,
things can go. Debate is like things can go radically different,
yes.
and it's very easy for anybody to justify anything. And if you're not familiar with the face, with the speaker, bro,
You
like the
cannot
guys,
just give them your
yeah,
first.
it is not that the speakers right now who are speaking representing Africa in ESL finals are significantly better than the speakers I've spoken about who all didn't like break at
Exactly.
this tournament. I think it's just the familiarity. You're more familiar with their accent, you're more familiar with their speaking style, you're not
Yeah.
shown out of place like some people were seeing Africans debate for the first time in debate rooms. You
Yeah.
can't blame them. Like if they feel that shock, you know. But I mean,
Yes.
guys kept being in your faces until you recognized them, you knew them, and you finally listened to them. It's not like
Yeah.
magically debating improved like in the last 2 years. Nah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, and that's why like platforms like these are very important.
yeah, yeah.
Andrew says one of my co-hosts and is doing production today. For example, was in Western Ivy, with Dylan, and in the he won the tournament, and this tournament had the world champion, if I'm right.
Mm, mm,
I know you've met in Polish, but he was the
yeah.
world champion at that time, and he beat him. And like, it's not to say he's a better speaker or anything like
Yeah,
that, but
but yeah, but
it's
anything can
debate,
happen in
because
debate.
yeah,
Like it's
anything can
debate.
happen in
You can
debate.
have a good motion. You can be in a
Yes,
good position, and you can make that position yours. And
yes,
you can build a case that is impregnable, and you can
yes,
win. Like it's just the reality. But I mean, it's debate is about rep, social
yes.
capital. You know, we
It's a
it,
people sport.
yeah, we like to pretend like that is not, but at its core, it is. So
Yeah.
I recognize that, and I know that.
Okay.
So I
Cool.
mean.
Now speaking about calls, let's go into PAUDC semi-final 2019.
Mm.
And I know uh, everyone, and that's the funny thing about debates. Like,
Yeah,
all of us are friends. We get, and for me,
yeah,
that's one of the things I love about debates. Like,
yeah,
I can do the competition and trash talk and do everything,
yeah,
but like, no hard feelings.
yeah, and for sure, for sure.
But all of
PADC,
us are friends.
yeah,
What
PADC,
happened within that semi-final room?
PADC. I'll start with the out rounds, right? I'll start with the prelims. Um,
You were
we
6 out of
won
6, right?
we won the first 6 rounds,
Which is incredible, unheard
which
of.
was good, but I felt like round seven. Okay, round seven. You were probably there. I don't know who won. You were the first to win to beat us.
No, no, that was
Who was
Andrew.
the first?
I never beat you in prelims.
Andrews and Sasu.
Andrew and
Andrews is
Sasu.
here.
Yeah,
Did
he's
they
so
win
happy.
that round? Did they win that? Maybe. I think it was close. No, that round particularly, I think was
I heard they
close.
were very good. I
I
heard they were
I
very good.
think that if we were not unbeaten, we would have won.
Hmm.
But Andrews won, and that was a round where I was like, okay, it makes sense because I think they were on the same bench or something, and they
Hmm.
spoke before us, and we had the same case file. I
Yeah,
think I
okay.
would say I analyzed the issues better, but if they wanted to give it to them, I respect that
Yeah.
particular call. The 2 rounds afterwards, one of them was pretty much the same. I think no. I would say rather the round with Andrews, I thought we should have won,
Yeah.
and but it was not an unreasonable call by any stretch
Yeah.
of the imagination. But I thought we should have won. The round eight was very very tight. The
Yeah.
motion didn't make any sense, and us coming second, I don't really have a problem with it in the grand
Hmm.
scheme of things. Like it could have been worse for us if they made us fourth in that round and they gave a very good justification. I would have lived with it because it was a
Yeah.
messy round. Like the motion was so bad. Like I really
Yeah.
can't.
I don't know if I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember it was an
round.
LGBT motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it was a mess. Round nine, again with round eight. If we weren't unbeaten, it should have not been out of place for us to win. But the thing is that with round seven, the rounds were blind.
Yeah.
So nobody knew. The judges didn't know. I think everybody still believed that we were unbeaten. So I
Yes.
think in the panels we were viewed harshly because yeah, these guys, this might be the only chance for them to drop points. I think
Yeah.
something like this. So round nine we should have won. The judge for round seven was the same with round nine, and I mean I feel like I don't know, man, but I don't feel I didn't feel comfortable
Hmm.
with us coming second in both rounds. I didn't think it was an absolute coincidence, but round eight was very was fair, was reasonable. I agree with that call. Round seven, I could live with the decision, even though I felt like we should have won. Round nine, I wasn't very sure
Yeah,
about
I
it,
think I was in that
but
round 9 room.
yeah, you guys won.
No, it was still Andrews and Sasu.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
were third.
like, okay, yeah. That round nine, I really can't recall, but I think my sentiment at the time was uncertain. Was we didn't win. You know that you know what I had done in 2016, the 2017, the Okom Gate scandal. You
Yeah,
can't.
yeah,
No, people had not had their pound of flesh against me. And that's the reality. I mean, this was something. This was. I mean, it's something we can laugh about now, but people were calling for me to be completely banned from debating. So people
yeah.
were really angry about what happened there.
We
When I
we'll, we'll
look back,
definitely talk about the Ocom Gate scandal because some people
okay,
can't find the
yeah,
context.
okay. So that I think was because I met people from particular countries
Mm,
who were instructed not to talk to me. I met girls who told me that they cannot speak to me in public. Like
mm,
this was the reality that I was facing. But some of the adjudicators during the prelims had made me feel comfortable, and I dropped my guard because in one of the rounds you were there. I spoke and I gave the best speech of the tournament, the
yeah,
highest
round 5.
the highest round five. I gave an 84 or 85
Yeah,
speech, and the judge was somebody I thought didn't like me, and
yeah.
but she was so hysterical about that
Yeah, and it
speech.
was a very good
Oh,
speech if you're being honest.
faithfulness! Yes, faithfulness gave the best speech of the tournament. She went to the CAP room and literally told everyone there when she was doing deliberation. She told all the judges, like, Faithfulness, hands down, that was the best speech I've heard about. So when I heard this, I was like, okay, maybe like bygones are bygones, right?
Yeah.